Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to episode number 38 at the Warehouse Underground podcast, real talk for warehouse, DC, and FC professionals of all levels around the globe. I'm Ben, the host of the show, and joining me on the show today is Anupam. Everyone who knows or interacts with him knows who I'm talking about when I say that. He is a supply chain design leader who has been in this space for a long time, more than 18 years. Now, currently, he's a senior manager design lead at Manhattan Associates, but he has taken part in so many transformations in the supply chain space, from ASRS robotics to WMS implementations to AI optimizations, and not only supply chain, but other industries too. Not only that, he also is a volunteer in the industry. He is a sought after speaker. He is part of many conferences. He is the vice president of the CSCMP, Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals at the Atlanta chapter, the Atlanta Roundtable, and also recently a advisory board member at the ISCEA, International Supply Chain Education Alliance. You got a full-time job just keeping up with all the letters and acronyms that he has in his background. So I'm really excited to talk with him about the future of supply chain as he sees it, because he is on the leading edge of that and is definitely someone who is really driving it. So I think this will be a very good show for anybody who's interested in the future of supply chain optimization as it pertains to distribution and warehouses. So with that, I will bring him onto the stage right now. Anupam, good morning, my friend. Welcome to the Warehouse Underground podcast. How are you, sir?
Thank you. Hi, Ben. I'm good. Good morning. And then pleasure to be here with you. Part of this show.
Yeah, we actually, so I actually got introduced to you by a former guest of the podcast, Jerry Abiog, who did a very cool episode. And he was like, hey, we should, and then we kind of lost touch there for a while. So I was glad that we were able to reconnect and really set this up and do this show today. So shout out to Jerry. I don't know if he's listening, but there we go.
Yeah, no, thanks for him. And glad that he introduced me to you. And then, it will be awesome interacting and discussing on.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Right. So I gave a little bit of your background in the introduction, but that is not going to do it justice. I mean, you've been in the industry for a long time and done many things. So can you just tell the audience about, in your own words, your background and your experience supporting all types of initiatives in this space, in this industry?
Sure. Again, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here because this is a topic I care deeply about. So over the years, I had the opportunity to work across multiple supply chain environments, helping organizations rethink warehousing, not just as a storage function, but as a strategic execution engine. So my background is really at the intersection of supply chain operations, warehouse technology, and business transformation. So over the past 18 plus years, I have worked across third-party logistics, working on exports, imports, brokerage, custom border protection, document management, cross-stocking operations, and then moving towards warehouse implementations in retail, apparel, consumer goods, manufacturing, logistics, and distribution-heavy environments, where I have helped organizations modernize how they run their fulfillment and warehouse operations. A big part of my work has been designing and implementing these WMSs and order management capabilities within the systems. Yep. And also parcel and transportation integrations, automation enablement, building workflows, and some of them are robotics connected operating models.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, I mean, it's very broad, as I'm sure that you can appreciate. I mean, supply chain is broad, even within warehouses and distribution centers. They're very complex now, and they're very broad. But I want to start on this topic because it's always top of mind when it comes to many people, and that's labor. I mean, on the P&L, labor is almost always the biggest spend. It's not supplies. It's not. Everyone wants to know about labor spend. And what are we going to do about labor? How are we going to forecast? How are we going to plan it? How are we going to reduce it? So, but now it's much different now than maybe it was back in the day. So, there's a term that's arising, that's labor orchestration. And so how do you see labor orchestration beginning to evolve in the modern warehouse environment, we'll call it, versus, maybe 20 or 30 years ago?
Sure. labor orchestration is actually moved from being static and a schedule based to become more dynamic, demand aware, and system driven functionality. Like traditionally, labor planning was often done using broad assumptions. So you
Yeah.
forecast the volume. I mean, you forecast the volume, you assign people by department, and then the supervisors, they adjust throughout the day, like based on what they think, right? So like if you have traditionally seen, that's how the warehouse has operated. That model worked when operations were simpler, right? Like when things were simpler, less complex, less effective than today's environment. Where today, if you see, the orders profiles are continuously shifting, customer expectations are tighter, and the warehouse complexity is much more higher. So that's where it is going. It is more like real-time data, task interdependencies, evaluating the order priorities, and
Yeah, I think, and another thing I think that people talk about is that you have all of these unique systems. So you have a warehouse management system, transportation management system, labor management. Like there's just everything. There's a lot of systems, but the core of it, I think, is the WMS automation advances that allow real time execution, real time visibility, and so it's not really like they all have to kind of work together like the hands of an old mechanical watch, all just kind of all the gears. So how do you see the role of all those things beginning to blend to sort of dynamically assign the work to the employees on the floor that is handled on the floor versus the old days, which is very segmented and sporadic and siloed. So it seems like now it's morphed together, but how do you see that?
oh, that's a great question. Like, because those experienced operators absolutely brought tremendous value. If you think about those people, the intuition was built over from years of pattern recognition. Like this is how the day in day out they work, and they understand the pattern, what's going to happen. But the challenge with that intuition alone does not scale well in today's warehouse environment. Like the modern operations are too fast, too interconnected, as we say, between these systems, and too valuable to rely only on the tribal knowledge, what the warehouses and the people in the warehouses there. And this is where warehouse management systems, the automation controls, the real-time execution becomes very critical. They create operational visibility and decision-making structure, but they are more responsive and they are more repeatable. Like instead of spending time even micro decision manually, leaders can focus on exceptions, optimization, and strategic flow control. Like that's best where human and judgment and the intelligence systems comes into effect. That's like real time shifting, moving from how do you want to run or visible, making a decision support system, like instead of like traditional process driven, like that kind of methods.
Yeah, and I think too, and I've kind of mentioned this on previous episodes, that idea, that mentality is growing very fast in the industry because there's more turnover now with the leadership and the management. They go from company X to company Y, company Z. I'm talking at the operator level, where you used to see people I'm a warehouse manager, I'm here for 20 years or whatever. Now you got all these fulfillment centers and distribution centers, and I work at company X and it has this tech. It's optimized this way. I leave to go company Y. They don't have it. Now I'm pitching to the CEO. Hey, we need to have this. This is what we had back then. So I think that's kind of pollinating, to use a bad springtime word there, but I think that's pollinating all the different industry out there. So I think that's a really good point and really exciting time, I think, to be in the industry when it comes to technology. So now let me ask you this, Anupam. So robotics, I mean, ProMat, Modex, you go to these big shows, the feedback that people will almost always give, if they've never been to a show like this before, they will go and I've taken some hourly people to shows before, and they're just overwhelmed by all of the robots that they see at show because they're visually appealing and they have demos and it's a lot of eye candy. So But what do you think about the future of robotics in the warehousing environment? Because it's you can't just have the robots, you have to have the employees too. They have to work together. So what do you think about that balance, the balance of the rise of robotics but also the need to have them meshed well with the employees that are actually using them with the automated system?
Yeah, that's a great course again question about like robotics, and it's the same. Sometimes there is a misconception among people that robotics means replacing people, but it's not truly. It's like working together instead of either or. It's not going to happen. In reality, if you see, most successful warehouse transformations are about designing the right partnership between this human
Yeah.
capability and the machine capability. Like you cannot think of designing a warehouse where you completely say, hey, my robots are going to do the task and I'm not going to do, I'm just going to simply sit and watch. Like my supervisor on the operations head is just going to sit and simply see everything is flowing between the system. It's all going to happen. Like, robotics is extremely strong in areas like repeatability, any kind of travel reduction, dense storage accesses, and handling high volume, predictable, like any kind of predictable movements. And human remain extremely valuable in judgment-based work, like exception handling, complex problem solving, and then probably supervisor control. Like you need to have that control where you want to manage your entire workforce. Like the human, it's like cobots. Like many people say that, like the humans and the robots work together. Like the real opportunity is not asking whether who is better, humans or robots. The better question is what would work, like what should be automated and what work should be human, and how do we integrate it both under the same building, under the same operating model. That's where it is going to be crucial. So we need to evolve our skill set. Like that's part of the thing where, robotics can reduce some value added travel, while also humans need intelligence. That's the brain who's driving these robots. Yeah.
Yeah, I think and a lot of operators out there in the warehouse uh will push back on robots because, like you said, the myth, the fear is it's just going to be a all black warehouse one day, and there's not going to be any employees in there. It's just going to be robots. And to that, I say I'm not holding my breath on when that's going to be. I know that that's the dream and the vision, but I think that is way farther off than people think. And I'm not sure it's ever really going to come to true fruition because, like you said, there's so many variables. I mean, in this industry, there's so many variables that people have to adjust to. And if you don't, I mean, and the feedback that I hear from operators is, I'm so stressed out, right? I'm overwhelmed. I'm managing all these things because you're using up all their brain bites. Well, if you have robots to help take away some of those brain bites, that gives you more ability to use your judgment, use your discretion, use your all those things. And so, I mean, in a way, it's not a robot, but in a way, a forklift took away, labor. Like a forklift wasn't the technology, but now it's just accepted now. Everyone uses them. So I don't know if robots are the same thing. I don't know if it's apples to apples, but in a way, that's just how it happens. So I think putting in a position where people feel that this is something that's going to help me. This is going to help my life. This is going to help my job. I think that the adoption is will be there eventually. Once that just sort of that unknown and that mystique and that fear begins to the fade away. So, but like you go to the shows, Anupam, just they're everywhere, and there's a lot going on. So, now let me ask this question, and you've brought this up before. picking picking in the warehouse, everyone wants to know about picking. You hear about picking all the time, order picking and optimize this and everything. And picking is a big part of it. It's closer to the customer, but there's many other different functions that happen inside a warehouse. I mean, it's not just picking. So can you speak on things like replenishment, exception handling, workload prioritization, all these things? Can you speak of them about why those are also critical in the intelligent or the smart warehouse of today versus just, focusing on picking?
Sure. So, like as you said, order picking gets the attention because it's what is my like need versus the demand. I need to meet the demand, what is exactly being asked for, and that's making me money. But picking only performs well when the rest of the system is supporting it, right? Like replenishment is absolutely critical, because if my forward pick locations are not stocked with inventory at the right time, my picking process breaks down. Because if I'm unit picking from these forward pick locations and I'm an e-commerce shop and I don't replenish them at the right time, I'll fall off. So that's like when the inventory exists somewhere else in the building. So replenishment is just not a support process, it's just when the flow and up. And exception handling is equally important, because these warehouses do not operate always. Nobody works in the perfect conditions. We have warehouse certain way. The reality when it comes to those things down in a different way. You have damaged inventory, short picks, missed scans, inventory mismatches, automation faults. Some are carrier issues. Your PO, when you got a PO to your vendor, the vendor is shipping the product, it's not yet arrived, and your launch item going on in a couple of days, and there is a whole supply chain disruption happened. These are some of the priority changes overnight. The difference between an like average operation and a strong one is how quickly and intelligent it resolves these exceptions. And then the workload reprioritization comes into effect, like which ties them everything together. Like you ensure your replenishments are executed well ahead of time. And that's where your smart warehousing concepts come into play. That, hey, I want to ensure my pick locations are filled in before my demand kicks off, and then my prioritization engine always keeps checking off how much is the inventory is depleting versus how many orders are flowing in. And then, how can I ensure my orders are out the door at the right point of time? Like that's what matters right now, as intelligently acting your inventory levels throughout the day.
Yeah, and I think the technology is important to help manage this, because there's so many moving parts that it's very difficult for a human to be aware of them all. I mean, just all the moving parts that are in place. So, tech and AI, I think can really help people make some better decisions. And you're right. I mean, if I go into a facility, I see a facility that's touting how good they can pick and how fast they can pick, but I look and I see you don't have any inventory control, processes. You don't have any replenishment. You don't have any of those other things. I just go, okay, well, you're going to be picking fast until you're not. I mean, it's gonna taper off. So all those things under the surface are almost just as important. In fact, they are just as important. And there's tools and technology out there that can really help people do that. So I agree with you 100% on that. So let me ask this question. Now, we've talked a little bit about the future of warehouse, of distribution, but what do you think that organizations need to do just in terms of redesigning their models? I mean, what do they need to be thinking about? Should they be thinking about their workforce roles, their decision-making structure, and change management, which is a big part of it too? What should leaders in 2026 who say, I want to be forward thinking. I want to set my operation up for what's coming down the pipe and be effective. How should they be posturing themselves and thinking about it to lead effectively into 2026 and beyond an intelligent warehouse era?
It's again a great question. The transition to an intelligent warehouse is just not just implementing a technology, and I'm good for it. Like it's an operating model redesign. You have to completely redesign how you operate today. The first, organizations need to stop thinking of automation or system upgrades as an isolated projects. They cannot be isolated. They need to define what kind of warehouse they are trying to become in beyond the future, right? Am I a faster global e-commerce fulfillment center, or am I a more resilient store replenishment warehousing fulfillment center, or what kind of labor productivity I want? Where do I reduce my dependency on the tribal knowledge built over the period of time, or the higher inventory accuracy? How do I see that? And I also feel like the workforce roles needs to evolve in an intelligent warehouse system. Like people are just not the executors. They are also a system operator, exception managers. Then I can also think of automation coordinators, analysts, system analysts, continuous improvement coordinators. Like these are some of the roles which I see people in warehouses are going to play. And that
Yeah.
requires investment in upskilling.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's like the shiny penny syndrome. It's tempting to just go, "Oh, we want this. We want this tech, or we want to do this. This looks cool." But you gotta you gotta know the entire cake that you want to bake ahead of time, and then you can go get the ingredients of it, and then you can bake it. But it's just, that takes a little bit more foresight and setting the vision and then executing it versus, oh, we're going to get this tech and implement this, and that piecemeal approach, I don't think is going to lend the results that operations want. I mean, how do you see that? I mean, you think that people are prone to just grabbing this and grabbing this, or have you seen more people are like, no, they're very good at setting the, where do you think most people come down on that in what you've seen?
Yeah, and it's more of like the change management, what you want to implement. Like that's where the change management is. Like change management has to be intentional. I know it is difficult for us to change. We have been doing some things over and over here over the past couple of years, and suddenly somebody comes and asks me to do a change, and it's just not a joke. Like we have to understand why this matters. Like what if a person is speaking here and there, and like if their role has to get improved, we need to also show them success. And that's when people will adapt with the change. Like when AI has come into our life so much, we also have to see that how can AI is helping us in day-to-day life, right? Like, fine, it is helping me, but I have to make that as a partner or in my workplace to make me more successful. And then when people in the workforce, the warehouses, they have to do an upskilling their roles, their jobs, their responsibilities. It's more of a change management process. If they're doing here and stuffs here and there, they need to ensure that like I know what I need to do next, or what I need to do, or how do I orchestrate myself the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, and you hear that a lot. And sometimes people say this, that in the supply chain industry, in a warehouse environment, distribution center environment, designing the tech is difficult. I'm not going to undersell it. It's very difficult. But sometimes people will say designing the tech is easier than getting adoption, like getting the people to fully embrace it and everything. And so what do you think about that? I mean, because I think that there's two parts of that equation that have to work together. If you only design the tech, but you don't get anyone to ever embrace it, you don't get them to embrace the change management, they're not on board, it will fail. And if you have all these people who are clamoring for this change and they want it and they're ready, but the tech's not good enough, I mean, the tech doesn't meet their demand that they have, or it's not aligned properly, that will also fail. So, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, what sort of different strategies or different experiences have you had to say, we have the tech and we have the change management and we have the adoption, and they work together and now we win? What do you think about that concept?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. Like in many cases, the hardest part is not the technology itself. It is the organizational transition around that technology. And the most effective strategy what I have seen is making the change personally relevant to the people who live with it every day. Like people who design the system or build the technology architecture, build the entire ecosystem of a smart warehouse. They implement the solution and then they are there for some time. But the people who just work on the floor, they are there, they have to live with it the entire time and they have to adapt. So if frontline supervisors and operators see the technology as something being done to them as a resistance is natural. Like if something is going to happen to them, a normal resistance is like, it's very natural. Like if they see it as something that reduces frustration, it improves their clarity, makes work safety, it removes some repetitive non-value added effort, some adoption, these kind of adoption improves dramatically. And another key strategy is like early involvement, like involve them at an early phase of the project. Like instead of keeping them in the silo and let them making them feel like, oh, the whole environment is changing, instead involve them from the beginning, get them in the loop, ensure they are right from the design phase. The paper phase, when everything is on the paper, right? Like the architecture, the layouts, everything. And that's where it will help them to make things much more better. Like they will adapt to it. And that's how their training goes on. When they are getting trained in an automation workforce or automation level kind of systems, they know what was designed behind the scene and they adapt to it faster. So that's very crucial.
Yeah, I agree. And I've made that mistake in my own career where if you design something and you hand it down to the employees and say, use this, and they were not involved with it, the moment that there is an ounce of resistance where it is not going well, they just cross their arms. Nobody asked me. Nobody included me. And you're dead. You're dead in the water there when that happens. So you're right. I think if you can use them in it, even if it's just a light level, if they still feel like they had a say, and obviously they know pieces of information that you might not know as the developer, I think in the end that's the way to do it. But you're right. You hand it to them, you say, use this, because they already have a lot of things on their plate. So they're very sensitive to more things being added. But if you build them into it and they see that it's going to make their life easier, it's going to make their operation run better. I mean, they're humans. They'll embrace it. If it's going to be more steps that they have to do and more, aggravation, then they're going to push back on it. And it's just human nature. That's what we do with anything that we buy. So I agree with you on that. So now let me ask this question. Is there anything that you think that people overlook? Like if there's one big takeaway, what should supply chain leaders be focusing on when they're building the warehouse of the future? And we mentioned many other different things, but if you just kind of had a name like two, what are the big things that they need to be focusing on? Is it the adoption? Is it the engagement? Is it the alignment? Is it the choosing the correct tech? Is it, what are the things that they should say, if we only do this and nothing else, that we'll be 80% of the way type thing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I would say supply chain leaders should focus on definitely adaptability, visibility, and execution resilience. That's where their focus should be. Like that's where they need to work on. And the future of the warehouse is just not most of the robotics. You implemented a complete robotic solution, or you put in a newest fancy software, and all your demand shifts, labor volatility, network disruptions. You are like, you need to respond on those and your customer service question, because there is an entire order demand coming from your customer service department. Your CX department is completely poking you, hey, where are these orders? Where do I get? Like, give me the status.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in other words, a future ready warehouses are built for adaptability. Basically, leaders need to just focus on like visibility, and you cannot optimize what you cannot see. Like if you don't have the real-time visibility of your workforce, of your inventory, of your demand, and you're also part of your automation performance, right? Like how your automation, if there is a breakdown, you need to know earlier that there's something coming up and you need to work on that faster. And that's where resilience is in execution. Like people, if you see like how they are well prepared for peak seasons, how they are well prepared for any kind of supply chain disruptions. Remember COVID-19, remember the port closures, all these sudden inventory shortages, and then there was a labor shortages, and then sudden order spikes happened. And with a weak operating model, it was very difficult to sustain that kind of environment. I mean, if I cannot get proper visibility, what is where, then it is going to be very difficult for me to operate. Like if I'm being a warehouse manager, it will be difficult for me to just perform and give results to my customer experience department and customer service department. So
Yeah, it's just like your car, right? Like when you drive your car, you need to have visibility of what's going on in your car. You can see your speed, you can see your RPM, you can see your battery, you can see your gas, you can tell the temperature, all those things quickly. And that helps you make good decisions when you're driving your car. If you couldn't see that, oh my gosh, I don't know. I would have run out of gas. I don't know. I guess I don't know what
Exactly.
happens.
Yeah.
type thing. Yeah, but for me, I mean, how I see it, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on this, and that is, I think in a modern warehouse world, like we mentioned a lot of things. You had visibility, and we need to have flexibility. But I think there are a lot more things that people can do to help their operations that are happening outside of the four walls of the facility, like with the total supply chain in terms of what's happening on the outbound side, what's happening on the inbound side, and then I think in like cyberspace, like there is people will say, well, you need to walk the floor, and you do, right? That you need to go to where the work is, and Gemba, you need to understand what's happening on the warehouse floor. That's a big part of it. I'm not discounting that, but that it cannot be only that, because it's a smart warehousing world, and you need to understand what's happening inside the programs outside the four walls. And I think those are the leaders that will best be able to support their teams. Not only can I walk the floor and help you what's in your area, but I know what's happening in the systems and the software. I know what's happening in the four walls. I know what's happening in the industry, what's changing. And all those things need to come together to really set up. If I just, figure out how to make this area over here better where the pallet is, that's great. But like that's not the 21st century in warehousing anymore. So what do you think on that? You think that would be good advice for leaders to begin to learn and implement and all that? Or do you think that, the technology is probably good enough, they don't really have to be aware, it's just going to run on its own type thing?
No, it is absolutely required. The visibility is so crucial. And I'm seeing the companies, there are a lot of investing in supply chain planning methods. Like,
Yeah.
that, hey, where's my product? If it is coming from east part of the world, exactly where is it? Like if there is a port closure, do I have a way to bypass it? Do I have a way to offload the product somewhere in a different port? Those are some of
Yeah.
the things which people are getting involved now. Earlier, once the product is in your four walls, that's when I act upon it. But it's not there. It's not that anymore. You need to people thinking beyond the four walls now. Like my transportation system, if I have a weather challenge before even when I drop my launch product, as I was giving an example, to my store where I'm launching a new product in 2 days of time, and there is a complete road shutdown. I need to predict that. I need to get that visibility. That kind of visibility is crucial nowadays.
Yep. No, I agree. Now Nupam, I'm gonna bring up a quote from you that I like, and I'm gonna bring it up on the screen because I feel like sums up a lot of what we've been talking about today. I'll read it for people who can't. Warehousing is no longer about storage; it's about speed, precision, and scalability. Companies lagging in automation face higher costs, slower throughput, and competitive erosion. So, what how did first of all, I couldn't agree more with this. I think that this is spot on. But how did you arrive at this quote and this philosophy, and how do you think that it's being accepted out there in the industry? Because I feel like the tide is starting to turn, and people are really beginning to see things your way in how you put this quote out there. So what's the backstory of this? Love it, by the way.
Thank you. No, that's a great point. And I would strongly encourage like every warehouse operations leader to learn about this automation, even if their current facility has limited automation today. Like you said about robotics and the ProMats, and like go there and understand what the company or the industry is doing. It's just learning. I mean, you don't need to, maybe the way your inventories, your operations are, you may not be able or be in a situation to to put in automation there, but that's fine. Like, you need to learn about that and then try to get some ideas like, okay, I have this opportunity to put in an automation thing. And then reason is that automation is no longer a niche, it's conversation. It is becoming part of the mainstream warehouse strategy. Like whether that means robots, goods to person, the AMRs, the automation store sortation, the AFRSS, the intelligent labor orchestration, all these computer visions and all these things are like, they are like your supported platforms. And maybe a facility does not deploy major automation tomorrow. The expectation is that they need or accuracy, a labor throughput, labor efficiency, and speed of these operations, like the way these operations are moving in this direction, because you have to ship out your products faster than your SLAs are increasing. Like, your so the learning about automation is no more going to be like, people say, I don't need to learn it now. When the time comes, I will learn it. But you need to keep adapting to it, and you need to keep learning about it. Like that's where I feel like that's where I went this.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if you're an ops leader out there, you can put your head in the sand. You can refuse, you say, I don't need to know this, and this is not, that's fine. That's your right to do that. But people are going to want to know about it, whether it's your boss or your boss's boss or somebody new comes into the company and they want to do these type initiatives. Like at some point you need to, and so, I think it's helpful for people to learn about it now, learn about automation, learn about AI. It's just going to help them because these are the things that are coming down the pipe. And whether you like them or not, whether you don't think you need, it doesn't really matter. I think like it's happening. And if you try to resist too long, eventually someone's going to come in and go, okay, you're out. Right. You guys coming in because this is what we need to do. And I don't want to see that happen to people. So, all right. So where can people find out more about you? Now I feel like I feel like this question you could answer in like 10 minutes to answer this question because you're everywhere, you're online, you're doing all sort of events, you're a part of all sort of different organizations and shows and everything. So, but where can people find out more about you, and what do they do if they want to reach out to you and work with you? Is that something that you do, you're open to? But what do you got, and what do you got work coming down the pipe in 2026?
Oh no, that's again a great question. Again, I can be reached on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm a social media person, definitely in LinkedIn, not other stuffs. But I do a lot of research and on warehouse automation, workforce evaluation, and like the future of where the fulfillment methods are going. And I collaborate with a lot of local chapters, in Atlanta chapter, like with CSCMP, and then ISCEA is a global chapter again, where I get involved. And then I definitely try to be part of more conferences. Definitely that's something which I talk about. Yeah, and in looking in 2026 and beyond, I'm also going to, like, there's a book coming up, which is it's in the smart warehousing, which is going to publish in coming months. It's an already the book, the ISBN number has been published, but it is just on its way. And it's more like, how smart warehousing, AI enabled, it has more details about like labor orchestration, more on how to evolve your like a role from an operations manager and all your stuffs, like, like learn about these kind of stuffs. So this is where I am going towards in 2026. And the mission is very clear: helping organizations and professionals like move from their traditional warehousing thinking towards a more intelligent, connected, and a future-ready warehouse. That's where I'm.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think you're definitely doing that, and I always have a lot of respect for people that do what you do. You're out there. You're putting it out there. You're a resource for everybody. You're not just close holding it to yourself. Like, you're sharing all of your wealth and all of your knowledge. And I think more people should do that. It's just the industry gets better as a whole. When we do that, we get better. And so I just, on a personal level, I respect you for doing that a lot. And I'm excited for the book. I think that will be a cool book. Let me know when that comes out. I will take a look. I will take a look at that. So It's always cool. Like I've had a lot of podcast guests that have books out or have books out. I just think that's they never mentioned me in the book that they write, but yeah.
Next book for
yeah. And the next time, it couldn't have happened without the warehouse. No, I'm kidding. No, but Anupam, my friend, it was a pleasure talking to you. A joy talking to you. You're so intelligent, right? You've got so much knowledge in the industry, and I really appreciate you appearing on the podcast and giving some of your wisdom. And I hope people reach out to you. So thanks a lot, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, you got it. Take care, Anupam. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, guys, that concludes this episode. Thanks again for Anupam. Just a fantastic resource in the industry. A great guy, fantastic resource. If you go to events, you'll probably hear him talk. He's at conferences. Reach out to him today. I love having people like that on the podcast. So spread their knowledge and their information out there to the industry. So thank you again, sir. I appreciate it. As the Warehouse Underground goes, we have over 300 people that have signed up for the community now. If you are into that, do it. It's free. We have message boards in there, networking. We've done some live events in there that you can see, and we have some come down the pipe. So check out the community at the Warehouse Underground. Sign up for that today. And also check out the Tiger Team show. I do another podcast with co-host named Jordan. It's all about life in warehouses and distribution centers and fulfillment centers. However, it has a little bit of a wit, humor, sarcasm flavor to it. So if you're working out there in those spaces, check that show out. We think that you will enjoy some comic relief on that for sure. So as this podcast goes, thank you again to Anupam. I will see you guys next week for episode number 39. God bless.